Alright, it's Coach D again, and we are on category 4. We have 2 left. So category 4 deals with linear equations and inequalities. Again, categories 1, 2, and 3 are all incorporated into category 4. So let's jump right in. A painter charges $35 per hour for labor, plus $40 for a ladder rental when he paints a house. The customer provides the paint. The total charge to paint a customer's house was $950. How many hours did the painter spend painting this house? How many hours? Well, this is a straightforward linear equation. We're just going to set it up and plug in. So let's start off with the slope-intercept form and hope that this is the way it's going to be set up, that we don't need any other type of formula or it's nothing tricky. So, do I have the slope? Let's start with what we know, the rate of change of anything. Yes, I do, that $35 per hour, and it is positive in this situation. Do I have a y-intercept, a starting point? Yes, I start off paying $40. Do I know the output or the input? Well, I know the output. I know that this is going to cost a total of $950. What I need to know is how many hours I'm going to be working. So I'll utilize InSoft. And we're already on the calculator page from the last tutorial. So we'll use menu, 3 for algebra, 1 for numerical solve. And we'll type the equation exactly as we see it without simplifying anything. 900 equals 35x plus 40. We're solving for x, so we have comma x. And this tells us 26 equals x. It should take 26 hours. That is not here. So we are done. Moving on. Alright, now we have an inequality. Which coordinate pair is the solution for this set? Y is less than 1 minus 6x. So they give you a graph because they kind of want you to graph this. It'd be a dotted line, and you would be shading down because, as we learned in a previous tutorial, a little trick is if you have the variable by itself positive that you are, or not the variable y, then if you can write the word down, you would shade down. If you could write the word up, you would shade up if y is by itself positive on the left side. So what we're going to do in the calculator, we're actually not even going to graph it. We're going to actually plug these values in on a calculator screen and let the calculator tell us if the statement is true or false. So I'll do one problem without the calculator so that you understand what we're doing in the calculator. These are the x values, these are the y values, and we're going to substitute in. Okay, so if y is a 0 and x is a 1, 0 is less than 1 minus 6 times 1. And we simplify. 0 is less than 1 minus 6. 0 is less than negative 5. And we know that that is not true. That is a false statement. And that's what the calculator is going to tell us. So we would type, I'm going to move on to the next problem to show it because we're saying it that's false. But I'm going to do it for this next one. So y is a negative 1. And the inequality symbol is here. So control equal sign. I want that less than symbol. I need 1 minus 6 times, in parentheses, x, which is a positive 1. And close your parentheses. And that is a false statement, just as the first one is. So what I'm going to do now is, just because answer choice D looks similar, I'm going to go in and switch the signs, because that's all it is. So I'm going to up arrow, copy that down so I don't have to keep repeating, change that one to a negative, and go up here and get rid of that negative. That saved me a little bit of time. And it says this one is true. So let's double check and make sure that C is not the correct answer. So that Y value, the first one, should be a positive 1, and that last value should be a 0. So I'll do the same thing and change the X value to a 0. And that again is false. Okay? So that's a nice way of doing that on the calculator without having to draw the graph. Alright, if y equals negative 4/5 x minus 2, what is the value of x when y equals negative 9? This is another insolve. It's simple substitution. If you're not very good with simplifying or solving for variables, insolve is your friend. So what I'm going to type in the calculator is I'm going to substitute. Oops, hold on. I did this all wrong. Let me correct myself. Okay, I'm going to substitute y with a negative 9. Everything else stays the same. So let's go to insolve. Menu, algebra is 3, numerical solve is 1, and we type the formula. Make sure you type negative signs when you have negative and minus signs when you have the operation of subtracting. Big difference when you start swapping those around. Sometimes it's going to give you a completely different answer. It's going to actually do what you tell it to do. Whatever you type, the calculator is going to do. And I'm solving for x, so comma x. And that says 8.75. Well, I have all fraction answers. What do? I'll let the calculator do that for me also. I'll go to menu. Number is 2. I want to change this number to a fraction, 2. So this says take the last answer, which is what I had. I didn't need to retype it, and change it to an approximate fraction. And this says get that decimal point out to 14 spaces to make it as accurate as possible. Then you hit enter, and 35/4 was your answer. If you can't remember that, you can always have changed the answer choices to decimals by typing them in, but having put a decimal point in one of the, either the numerator or the denominator, so that the calculator will give you a decimal answer. Alright, the average annual rainfall for a particular city is 33.2 inches. In the first 30 weeks of this year, the city received 9.7 inches. Okay, and this is during the first 30 weeks. If it's expected to rain between 1.5 and 2.5 inches per year, per week through the end of the year, what is a reasonable number of additional weeks needed for the city to reach its annual goal? Well, first of all, how many inches do we have to work with? We already know we need 33.2 inches, but we have 9.7. So we subtract. I'm not going to do any guessing by hand or make any errors. I'm going to use the calculator. 33.2 minus 9.7. That says I need 23.5 inches. If you pick A, it's because you're not paying attention. That says weeks. That's how much rain you need. So there's two ways we can figure this out. I can figure out if it's real slow and we only get 1.5 inches per week, divided by 1.5. But if we get a lot of rain that's pretty heavy, we're going to divide by that 2.1. So it's like we would have an inequality. This would tell me the lowest value, the highest value, and there'd be a range in between there. So these are decimals. I'm not guessing any of this. I'm going to do it in my head. What is 23.5 divided by 1.5? And I get 15.7 approximately. And this is weeks. Then if I try with the heavy rainfall, 23.5 divided by 2.1, I get approximately 11.2 weeks. So it's somewhere between these two numbers. Well, 9 is too low. Yes, this is close to 16, but that is telling me more. They just want to know, to make it, we're going to be somewhere in between these values, which is 13 weeks. Okay, what is the value of x in the solution to this system? All right, you have two equations that are in standard form. You don't have to take them out of standard form. Again, we're going to let the calculator work this one out with the system solve. So we'll go to menu, 3 for algebra, 2 for solve a system of linear equations. And if you saw in a previous video, we did this with one equation, but now we're actually going to utilize 2, so we don't have to change anything. We'll just tab to OK or use the touch pad and go to OK, and we'll type the two equations exactly as is. 6x plus 3y equals 13. Then arrow down, 3x minus y equals 4. We don't have to do the comma anything because it's already going to give us our answers in the form of a coordinate pair. Now don't get confused that it has the set notation, but you're going to have parentheses when you'd have this answer. So this tells me 5/3, comma 1 are the coordinates. That's x, that's y. It asks for x. 5/3 is your answer. So if you chose F, you didn't read the question, didn't ask for y, it asked for x. Okay, a high school band held a bake sale. The number of cupcakes sold was 4 more than twice the number of cookies sold. The band sold a total of 52 cupcakes and cookies. Question is, how many cupcakes were sold? Well, this is similar to the last problem. It's a system, but we have to actually write the equation, and then we have to solve it. So first, let's assign variables. We're talking about cupcakes and cookies. So they both start with the letter C. So let's say cupcakes and cookies. Let's let cupcakes equal y and cookies equal x. It does not matter. You can interchange them. In the long run, you just remember which one was assigned to x versus y. So the number of cupcakes sold was, that would be y equals 4 more than. When you have more, you add. So 4 more than. 4 more than what? Twice the number of cookies. Twice means to multiply by 2. So 2 times cookies would be 2x. There's your first equation. Second one, they sold a total of 52 cupcakes and cookies. So the total means you're adding together the cookies and the cupcakes. So here are, well, 52 cupcakes and cookies. I'll put cupcakes y plus cookies x. And we're going to do the exact same thing we did before. So menu, 3 for algebra, 2 for systems, and tab over to OK, and type your equations. Y equals 2x plus 4, arrow down, 52 equals y plus x. And you have the coordinates 16, 36. Again, I think it's a little misleading that these are in brackets, but you could have done it either way. You could have had x comma y, y comma x, n comma z, whatever. So the calculator doesn't know which one you meant to be your x coordinate, because somebody else could have labeled cupcakes as x and cookies as y. So I think that's why it does that. But the x coordinate was cookies, and the y coordinate was cupcakes. And the question was cupcakes, which is 36. H is our answer. Alright, so that was a pretty quick one for category 4. I'm trying to pick up the pace in talking because you can always pause and rewind at your will. So I hope this was useful, and we have one more video for category 5, which will be quadratics. Thanks again.